We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon. The arrival of a spaceship. Just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet.
People of Earth, attention.
It's the invasion of the podcast.
The whole world is under attack. Can it survive?
All right, and welcome to the Invasion of the Podcast. I am Paul Swamp Thing Stedman, and to my left is Joe Man Thing Peters.
Thank you.
Because we are Cleveland's experiencing. I don't know. It's like
it's weird weather.
Yeah,
it's nice. That's weird.
Yeah, so so like 2 days ago it was a little chilly. Now I'm a puddle of sweat. So by the end of the episode, you may hear some gurgling, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, like a week ago, I'm like it's like 50 some degrees outside, and now like shorts and sandals.
Yeah, at some point you just may hear like me just burst into flame, and that's it. So, but that's the struggle that we go through to bring you wonderful discussion and entertainment, discussion about entertainment. And so let's just jump right into the news poll.
News team, assemble!
You know, I think that's the first time we did weather before news.
It wasn't even on the 8s either. I don't know. So what we got going on? This nice, refreshing news.
There's a lot of news. There's always news going on. I always say that there's a lot of news going on. I know we're gonna do a lot of video game stuff because we haven't. But I know one thing that kind of popped out to me is Nintendo's bringing back their World Championships this year for 2015, which I remember back in, I think 1990, I went to when I was a kid, and that was probably one of the coolest things ever when I was a kid.
So when you did this in Cleveland, because I lived in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, so I always had to hope and just like read about these things and Nintendo Power and see Howard and Nestor talk about them, but never, actually live the dream. Like, were these actually kids competing, or were these like just guys at that time? They're just like, this is my one shot. I'm going to make it.
No, it was all kids. I was like 10 or 11, and I remember it was at the IX Center. And they had a ton of it's very E3-esque. They had a ton of like stations set up with TVs and games you could play, like they do at E3. And then you signed up for the championship, which, if any of you are familiar, they basically had specific cartridges made with 3, I guess, demo games on them, and you would play the games for a certain amount of time. It was real short too; it was only like a minute or two.
Yeah.
And it was Ninja Gaiden, Tetris, and Outrun, I believe.
Or Rad Racer.
Rad Racer.
I'm
sorry. Yeah.
Rad Racer. Yeah.
And they took your scores from those games, and then like whoever made it on to like the next, like they did it in 3 stages. I actually think I made it to the second stage, but I didn't make it onto the big TV screen that they had where the big crowd was watching.
Was your family disappointed in you?
Yeah, it was almost like the Olympics when the gymnastics kids train and stuff. Like I got a thorough tongue lashing, and then I had to go home and
you peaked at age 10, and then that's it. You've just yeah.
I had to stand in the corner holding an NES above my head for 6 hours, and my arms cramped up. No, but it was very cool, and I remember probably for a couple years telling everybody that was probably the coolest thing I've ever done as a kid. From about like 10 to 13, I was just like I was raving about the Nintendo World Championships, and then that ended, in the 90s too, and now after 25 years they're bringing it back. So I think they're doing it at Best Buys, like near Best Buys or at Best Buys. I read there's about 8 across the country that are going to host these Nintendo Championships. They haven't really given out details of what games you're going to play.
I really hope it's the same 3 games. I really hope it's just like all these newcomers who come up and be like, yeah, I'm ready to play whatever you got. It's like, well, you're going to figure out Outrun, and you're going to hit select by accident. It's going to go in fake like 3D, and you're not going to know what's going on.
Well, I think it's actually NES games. It's not like you're going to be playing like Paper Mario and Mario Party and Mario Kart. which I'm sure will break a lot of people's hearts. They're like, they heard Nintendo championships and they're firing up Smash Brothers and Mario Kart to go compete. I think it's going to be Mario Brothers, Super Mario, and Dr. Mario. And then it's basically score based too. So, if you can make it to whatever Castle World 8-4 in like 2 minutes, who cares? It's all based on your score.
Yeah,
which
so
is something that's
maximizing
disappeared from
everything.
video games, which I enjoy whenever there are scores in video games nowadays. Because that's something that I actually try to, like, after I've played the game through an amount of enjoyment, I'm like, I'm gonna work on my score now.
I do think that there was a bit of a rivalry there whenever Geometry Wars came out, that everybody was just trying to
Geometry Wars was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I haven't played it in a long time, but that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I remember, I think there was a little bit of trash talking with the high scores there. But
Mm-hmm.
when you say 8 Best Buys for this Nintendo World Championship, I just want to believe that there's one guy that was like maybe like young 10-year-old that crashed out and didn't win, but he's just been waiting for his day, and he's been training.
Fred Savage,
and I want to believe also that these 8 Best Buys, if it's anything maybe it's because I saw Over the Top recently, I want to have all these different in the Swedish champion and the trucker champion. I don't know, because there was a trucker circuit.
Every contender's a character.
I want to combine Street Fighter with Nintendo World Championships and be like, in the South America, Nintendo champion is this, because I want an actual world championship at a Best Buy. So I don't know. That sounds interesting. I can't wait to see more information about that and actually see the rebirth of Twitch gaming, because that's really what that is. It's about pattern recognition and maximizing every single moment.
Yep.
And I'm sure Billy Mitchell will win it all, very shady wise.
Well, he'll send in a VHS copy to let him know. He'll be like, here are the 3 games I played last week in my garage.
Yeah, ignore the screen ripples every time that the score doubles and doubles and doubles. Whatever. Here's some hot sauce.
Yeah. But it's May 30th. I think it kicks off. Chicago's the closest one to us that's doing it. But, major cities, New York, LA, Chicago. I didn't get a complete list of where they all are at, but
Not Cleveland.
not Cleveland. Sorry, guys.
Next round.
The IX Center has lost its a lackluster.
There's probably someone there playing Nintendo right now, but they're probably not getting paid for it.
Yeah, they're not in a championship.
They made some bad decisions. And
So
are now playing,
that's some cool news in the world of gaming. I know there's other stuff going on. Speaking of gaming, I know you were telling me about some issues with the Wii. Speaking of Nintendo,
there is a story, and I'm sure we'll link it on our Facebook page. There is a guy who he reported that his Wii set his house on fire, and I read the article, and by house he means RV that he was living in, which that's fine. I mean, whatever, that guy owns more than I do, but evidently, people are pretty much it's 99% certain that this guy's Wii melted and burned down his house. And I made the joke to Joe that now the Wii has 2 functions. One is for Netflix and one is for burning down RVs, and playing games is a distant third, because I don't think anybody uses the Wii for video games anymore whatsoever. Or maybe he was watching that Fireplace show on Netflix and just let it go, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I leave my game systems on or plugged in all the time, and I've never really worried about the fire.
Yeah, combination of 6-year-old technology and an RV. Did they test that thoroughly before they released the product?
Probably not.
So there's also photos in the story too of this Wii. It just looks like a toasted marshmallow melted down.
And what's crazy is the Wii probably survived the fire just fine.
Oh, yes, that's true. I know, as much as there's a lot to love about Nintendo, and there's gonna be some fun Nintendo talk later. That's not a spoiler. It's a foreshadowing alert. The one thing that they do right all the time is when they release a piece of hardware, they know that kids are going to beat the living crap out of it. So it's it doesn't matter. These things will work forever.
I've seen original Game Boys survive house fires and things like that.
Yeah. So I bet you. So sorry that guy lost his entire RV, but he could probably still play. What was that original shooter they released for the Wii? It was initial launch title was the Yakuza
Red Steel?
Red Steel, where you had the floaty arm that could float an entire 360 degrees around the screen, if you turned the Wii remote. That game was terrible.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember when that was coming out, a couple people I worked with were they were bananas about it, and they're like, you could swing a sword and shoot a gun with the controller. I'm like, That doesn't sound like it's gonna work.
Yeah, when the peak of the Wii was playing Wii Bowling, and that was the first thing I played on it. Yeah,
I kind of dropped off after the GameCube. I didn't have a lot of Wii exposure.
Yeah, I never. I dropped for Nintendo for me anyway. It's like I never got a GameCube. It was just I had the Super Nintendo, and that was pretty much it for that. And then I went on to the PlayStation.
Okay.
And so I never. The only game I ever played on the GameCube all the way through was Resident Evil 4. Because when that came out, it was an exclusive.
Yeah, it was exclusive.
And I bought a GameCube for my roommates at the time as here's a Christmas present. Now I'm going to play Resident Evil 4 on it all the time. So I was that guy.
That was the last game I actually played on the GameCube was Resident Evil 4.
It was really good. So, all right, we got some other game stuff we're going to talk about here shortly. Any other news?
I haven't really. I apologize. I've really been keeping up with my comics lately because I've been busy since I got back from vacation with work. My schedule's a little off, so I haven't been able to go to the shop.
So you're saying that you had actually grown up responsibilities and you didn't have a chance.
Yeah,
to
I
catch
have
up
those.
on the
sorry.
funny books.
Yeah. My funny books didn't really come through this week. So I don't have a lot of comic news, movies. Conan, what is it? They announced The Legend of Conan, like King Conan. Schwarzenegger's getting back in the saddle of Conan as King Conan. Should be interesting. It's going to be a direct sequel, which I'm pretty excited about. I mean, I know once Schwarzenegger got out of office of being governor of California, he pretty much jumped right back into his movie career. And he had quite a few bombs to start out with, but it's slowly picking back up. He's revisiting his franchises and things like that. Like we got Terminator Genesis coming out soon, which is interesting. I want to see it
on that. I hope it's good.
I like the Terminator franchise, and I like Arnold. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that it can't go bad because Terminator 3 was really not that great, But I'm willing to give him another chance, know.
I'm sure we'll hopefully here in the next few weeks or a couple weeks we're going to have probably a whole robot apocalypse episode dealing with just Terminator and because you're getting into my wheelhouse of robots that want to kill people, and that's like I'll go on and on about that.
They all do.
That's true. So
Roomba's like if you lay next to a Roomba, it will eat your hair.
It's like the modern day myth of the cat that will steal the breath out of the baby's cradle. It's like don't let the Roomba near the baby because
the Roomba will eat it.
It's just going to clean the breath out of the baby, and that's it. And it's going on its way. That baby's clean and not alive. It skates away.
So the Conan's going on. More Suicide Squad stuff keeps popping out from the movies. If you want to talk a little bit about comics, a lot of people are starting to get upset because it's taken away. Like it's like let us see the movie, and like every day something pops up on websites that's a footage that somebody captured with their phone. Here's some more character photos. Here's a scene that they're filming. Like, I know you guys want to see Jared Leto as the Joker really bad. Here he is. I'm like, people are starting to get mad because it's like, let me go to the movie.
Well, the two things, first off, blame Canada for that because it
is in Toronto, yeah.
And the rules for taking photos and sharing things, they don't have to follow the rules of the U.S.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they could pretty much because they're not held to the same type of copyright type stuff, so they won't be the studios can probably threaten them independently, but for them sharing it with us, and it's a little different. So they can just pretty much record. It just depends, they're not held to the same, not standard, but, whatever. And the other thing, too, is, all the filming in Atlanta right now with Cap 3, it's almost the same thing, but it's almost like people aren't up in arms about it because they trust that product. It's so you're seeing a lot of scene photos and a lot of images come out of that, too, but it's already an established property, and you've already know most of the characters, so when they kind of reveal... someone on set in a costume, it's like, oh, well, that's going to be cool. There's not big doubts about it.
Yeah, the Toronto leaks are like actual scenes they're filming.
Yeah.
Like Joker talking to Harley Quinn. You can't hear audio, but you see the set, you see the two actors acting, and it's like, okay, so I know this is coming up. I don't know what context it's in, so...
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the only... I was talking to a coworker about this today. I said Suicide Squad's probably the only DC movie that I'm mildly interested in coming because it's the more oddball one. However, I think Warner Brothers and DC have just said pretty much Marvel's laid the groundwork to have really odd movies. We're just going to roll over top of it.
Yeah.
And just assume people are going to accept it. And I don't think that's a good foundation to get people on board for something, especially when you have something as big as Suicide Squad, which I think has more people in it now than the Justice League thing.
Yeah, Suicide Squad seems like it's got a lot more steam than Justice League, but I'm excited for Batman vs Superman, and I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I don't really venture into DC a lot, but I want DC to get
the metro area. Is like you just stay on the Beltway, but you don't go into DC proper.
Yeah, I know, but like I want DC to have kind of what Marvel has with their movies. I think that'd be great to have two properties that you can be excited about like that. So I'm excited to see Batman vs Superman do that, and I'm nervous too because their track record needs to change.
The thing too, like, we said we weren't going to do a lot of comic stuff, but I'll say this. So over this holiday weekend, I was stationed on the couch for a majority of it. And I'll talk about the two things here. One is I watched a lot of Arrow just to try to give it a chance, and it's not bad, but it's like each episode, it's like 80% pretty people with problems, 20% arrows. It's like they need to. Like
you need about 15 to 30% more arrows.
I need at least 23% more arrows to make it interesting, and it's not bad. It's like I guess maybe, and this is the fanboy in me. Daredevil has kind of ruined Arrow a little bit because it doesn't pull its punch. And Arrow's not bad. It's not bad. It's just. I see where they're going with it, and it's interesting enough. It feels like that WB is like, we want to do a Batman series. Like, well, you can't have Batman. Well, what about this other rich guy that has he's not superhuman, but he wears green. They're like, sure, just do that. And
a lot of my friends who are big Arrow fans that always chastise me about not watching Arrow. I did watch the first episode recently because I was going to try to watch it to get into it, and I do want to go back to it.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Because the world's expanding a little bit. And I know it was in season 2. That's when they do the backdoor pilot for the Flash. So it starts to get a little bit more.
Okay.
And I know they're bringing in. I know this isn't a spoiler for people who've been up to date with Arrow. What's his? Not Deadshot. That was going to be my point. Was that Deadshot's in? Yeah, Deathstroke's supposed to be a major component, but Deadshot is in Suicide Squad, right? That's
Deadshot's in Suicide Squad.
That's Will Smith's character, right? Yeah. You're going to watch the second episode of Arrow and be like, well, who's this guy? And it's Deadshot there.
Right.
And he's one and done. And it's a very, it's just, I wish the WB would be like the same thing that Marvel, I guess.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, it's just they be consistent, and then people will be more excited for your property.
Exactly, yeah. Lady Sif shows up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're like, I know her from the movie.
Yeah, and it's just it's a good crossover. And the fact that they've said that the Flash in the Flash movie is not going to be the Flash in the TV show, which I'm sure the TV show is going to find a clever way to make it all work anyway, because they've been doing that. It's just, play to your strengths. You have good material, make it work, and people will come watch your good movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my rant. That's my comic rant for the week.
Yeah.
Done.
Real rant. We're gonna stop with news because it's getting ranty. Not your fault, but we can rant about all kinds of stuff in the news.
Well, the one other thing I wanted to mention, and I mentioned this to you in passing, just because I think it's funny but also sad, is that the guy who was attached to direct it, his name's Corey. Last name starts with an F. I'm going to mess it up, but he was the guy who directed True Detective, which I don't know if you've watched True Detective or not. It's so flipping good.
I have watched the first 2 episodes, I think, and I'm really bad with TV. I want to apologize right now. Like TV, I will watch 1 or 2 episodes, and then I'll come back to it and then just destroy seasons.
Yeah.
So I'm slow. I just actually, not to get too far off topic, I just started watching Blacklist. Which I'm still on the fence about, but there's a lot of TV shows that I have queued up on Hulu and Netflix that I'm just because you watched, and I'm like, I watched 1 episode.
Yeah, it's the same thing too, where it's like I have a stack in my mind of things I want to get to, and I think that'd be a good topic for another show of not necessarily your shameful things that you enjoy, but like the things that you can admit to not actually seeing yet. Or playing or reading, and I think
your to-do list,
like a nerd bucket list. I think that would be, and there's a lot of TV on there that I haven't given a proper chance to. But this guy Corey, Funkhauser. His name's not Funkhauser. Funkhauser MD. He supposedly has left the remake of It. And the rumor is, and not because I've called Hollywood and be like, hey Hollywood, what's going on with this? They said
should probably call him.
Yeah, I'd be like, sup, Hollywood, your sign, update it, get a different font. People are all about the Comic Sans now. So supposedly with Poltergeist opening so poorly, that the movie studios are now worried about releasing or funding a horror movie that has a clown as a major bad guy. and it doesn't even make sense to me. That'd be like, I don't know. It's like, oh well,
like spiders.
Yeah.
Like we can't do another spider movie. Everyone is afraid of them.
It's like, oh, well,
but it's a horror movie. I know, but
like that guy drives a car in that movie. Well, we can't have movies with cars in them anymore. Like it's just, that seems such a gut reaction, especially considering that I haven't seen the remake of Poltergeist. I probably won't. You know what? Poltergeist, the original one, it's pretty good. It's not as great as people say it is. It's pretty good. Has the coach in it, and it's okay movie.
Yeah.
But it's okay. And the clown in that, I was a kid, it creeped me out, but it wasn't a main component of the movie. And I'm guessing that it's also not a main component in this movie. But people were latching onto that one weird detail and being like, "We can't have that." And it's just very.
I don't understand.
I don't know either. But anyway, so hopefully, I didn't have much hope in this remake of it. I know they're going to make it into 2 movies, which I think is a good idea. But now it's like anytime you get someone that you're really excited about being a director like that, or Edgar Wright, when they step away, you wonder like what's going on with the property itself. So hopefully,
it makes you nervous. And like it wasn't until recently when I started looking at a lot of like writer directors that work on projects and then they suddenly disappear from them. That you kind of look at the studio like what are you doing? Why are you restricting people?
Yeah, and I'm sure 20 years from now there will be probably a lot more written about the Marvel blueprint and about how they're like. And then there's some directors that have been able to find a way to work like coexist and make their vision work, but Marvel has they know what they want. So I think James Gunn actually was able to thread that needle of providing everything that Marvel wanted, but also making it a weird James Gunn movie.
Yeah. Well, I know like Whedon recently, now that he's completely done with both Avengers, like he went on record as saying like all these different things with, especially with Avengers 2, he fought about, which is weird because like, that was something that originally everybody was like, oh, they've got... Josh Whedon did such a great job, and he gets it. He knows what he's doing with this property. Yeah. Let him do what he wants. No, that wasn't the case. They still didn't want to let him do what he wanted. Yeah, so anyway, best of luck to Pennywise. And just get Tim Curry to do it again. I'm sure he'd be even creepier in clown makeup. Actually,
now.
yeah, he would be creepier than he was originally.
Yeah, it's just like, you know what? Just don't even put clown makeup on him. Just let him just wear a clown suit. Just be Tim Curry, and it'll just be creepy as all get out. So that's it for news. So let's move on to the big thing that we're going to. I don't know, the middle section. I'm going to press a middle section button right now.
And now for our feature presentation.
One of these days we should do a live show, and everybody should guess when you're going to press.
I know I've made fun of. So
I'm picking
a little behind the scenes. I have this app that has these things, and it's on my phone, and my phone falls asleep. So I have to actively pay attention to press the buttons, and also the buttons are real tiny. And I have like Hobbit hands. They're huge and hair. Well, I guess Hobbit hands would be small, but if I was proportionate to a Hobbit, my hands would be huge. And I have sausage fingers, and I want to press these buttons correctly to bring you guys a wonderful show. So, and I'm working on it. Either I'm going to get smaller hands or a bigger screen. I don't know what's going to happen first. Probably the hands. I'll get little tiny doll hands. What we want to talk about now is, since we're talking about video games, and I was talking about how I was stuck watching Arrow because I hurt my back just by existing. I don't know, but I ended up playing a lot of Shadow of Mordor this weekend, and I know that game is old news for a lot of people, but it's something that I started playing, and it's a cool game. But I was telling Joe, I don't know if I like it, but I've put 24 hours into it. And the reason why, the graphics are really good. I have for Xbox One, which I guess of all the platforms it's supposed to be the worst, but it looks really, really good.
Yeah, people can get in some heated discussions about graphics.
I don't know. My first game system was an Atari 2600. Xbox One's wonderful, I remember PlayStation 1 being like, those are so good, I could see actual squares, and now it's like everyone's like, well, when the rain hits the guy, it doesn't look quite. I'm like, it's raining dynamically, and it's dynamic lighting, and you have AI, that's the one thing like in this game. So the whole notion is it takes place before the Lord of the Rings, but I think after the Hobbit, so it's kind of in that in between that like everybody seems to like doing things about now. And you're a human guy who is was killed early, and you're kind of merged with like an elf spirit, so you're kind of like a ring wraith, but kind of not. So it's like you're like just coming to that. Okay. So you get that's how they explain the supernatural portion of it. Okay. But
yeah, they can get away with the fantasy mythology.
Yeah, that's fine. So then the whole bulk of it though is that you got to hunt down these orcs, and these orcs, like if you go out in the world and you die to an orc, like just like a random mob of them, that orc will suddenly get a name, and he'll trash talk you, and then get promoted to a captain.
Oh, that's cool.
And so all of them, none of them look the same. Like, I'll say that. Like, they're all crazy how they're all different looking, and they all have different names, and they have different strengths and weaknesses. And there's one guy out there right now, I don't forget his name, but he's killed me like 4 times. I'm coming for him eventually. When I get better, if I could find a gun in this game, I'm going to find him, and I'm going to shoot him. Because he kills me all the time, and he doesn't. He's the one.
So he gets stronger every time he kills you.
He gets stronger, and like
so you got to go around, get stronger, and then come back and get him.
Yeah, because like there's regular orcs, there's captains, and then what they call war chiefs, and he's a war chief, so he's a lot tougher than the regular ones. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so basically you're stalking. Like I've spent 20 hours in this game being like, that orc killed me. I'm gonna go kill that guy, and I haven't really been moving the story forward. But it's supposed to be like you're like.
That's a good dynamic, though, because you get the revenge.
Yeah, and you could even see on the map, it's like, this guy's killed you. And then also one other thing, too, a brief aside, since I'm connected with Xbox Live, it will randomly pop up missions saying, go avenge this gamer tag's death. Like, if someone's gotten killed by an orc, you can go on a revenge mission and kill that guy.
So, if orc kills me, you could be like, I got you.
Then I don't know if you'll ever see it, but that mission pops up where it's like, oh, it killed Joe. I gotta go avenge Joe. You know, it's like,
that's neat.
And so it's cool and all, but like, and I've done a couple, I'm about halfway through the game now, and the story missions are lacking, but I think the reason why I'm not interested is because they made an entire world, and they built all these structures, but the levels, like the different, like, main story missions are through these structures. There's no, like, one-off, like, here's your level, you got to get through it. And so it feels very like they've kind of squeezed in these progression missions just in this world they built. It's kind of like the Grand Theft Auto thing where, you know, it just, and for me, it's just like, I don't need that all the time. And I don't know if I like the game or not, because it's like, give me a quality experience, which, I mean, maybe if their whole thing is to deliver this in the mold of every Batman game ever made now.
Well, they're, Warner Brothers does it.
Warner Brothers does that, and Batman.
They've got, well, obviously, because, you know, they did the Hobbit, or they bought New Line, and then now the Hobbit was Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But they did Batman, because we were talking a couple of podcasts ago that Warner Brothers owns DC properties for the gaming, and they own Mortal Kombat for gaming. So,
they with Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, and Origins, and now Arkham Knight coming soon. Like, they found a formula that works, and I think for a Batman game, you gotta be able to be a Batman. You gotta be in the city, and that's fine. Like, but also though, you know. At least with, like, and I haven't finished Arkham City. I'm a bad gamer. But at least then you go into buildings and they actually give you different segments that are like their own bit, you know?
Yeah.
And like, but this though, it's so open that I've spent more time trying to collect all the little knickknacks in the world than I am actually doing anything that's consistently story driven. And is that something that like people now like when Titanfall came out, there's no campaign. It's just all fighting. Yeah. And I know that people still try to tack on a campaign on Call of Duty, which I haven't played any of those, but
God, I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign in a long time.
Yeah. And like, and Destiny was trying to show you like, we're a standalone game, but it's just open world. And it's like, and I don't know, is this something that we need all the time?
And I think it's not with every game. I know what you're saying about how linear gaming is kind of gone, and a lot of people play these games and they're either open world sandbox, or it's a sandbox enough that you can go do whatever you want whenever you want. I played Arkham Asylum and City all the way through. I liked them a lot, and
yeah, I finished Asylum and it was really good.
It was kind of nice to break away from the story and go do something, but I still tried to maintain the main storyline to get to the end and find out what happens. And then after it was done, I went back and I found a couple of the Riddler's riddles in the city and things like that, and did little side quests. I know what you mean.
Well, I guess my question though is like, is it wrong? I mean, and I know there's so many different platforms out there for gaming now, and so many different ways to game. But these big AAA titles, it feels like everyone's like, well, we could do this, but we also have to add something additional. And I think maybe. I think the like The Last of Us, even though they had multiplayer, I never got to do that.
The Last of Us multiplayer was really good. Like I play a decent amount of multiplayer games. Yeah. On the computer and the consoles, and I was impressed with Last of Us multiplayer. I think I played that more. I finished Last of Us, which was amazing, but the multiplayer on games like that, it's very rare that I'll play a game for its story and then get into the multiplayer.
Okay, because like I had gotten a used copy, so I didn't want to pay extra for the multiplayer, which that will come to something we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
And, but I also feel like with like BioShock Infinite, like they never released a multiplayer, and it was just like just straight up story, and that's it. And they focused. They're basically like, we want to make the single player campaign the best it can be, and I think that was a strength for it. But I don't know. It just seems like maybe I'm just being a grouchy old man gamer, but it feels like everything has to, like, they have to give this illusion of like, you got to have this freedom of choice, and I don't understand that that's necessarily something that every single game has to have. I think that choice can come from player decisions in the game, and like for Shadow of Mordor, you get a lot of talent points, and you can make your guy do whatever you want him to do, and it's like I think that maybe if they would have made it not so like open world where it's like, oh, I get to travel all over Mordor and I get to see this burnt building and then this burnt building as well and this orc hut, and look, there's 6 more orc huts over there. It's like, give me a little bit of variety. Like, I don't need a fire level every like 6 minutes, but just give me something different. And I think it's an interesting discussion in the sense that I don't know what people's expectations are anymore for games.
Yeah, they vary. It's based on your taste. I mean, there's games that I won't play. And I hate to say it, but like Shadow of Mordor is probably one of them that was off my radar. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I wouldn't play it because I have any type of hatred. I love the Lord of the Rings series. I read the books when I was a kid, and the movies were great. The Hobbit, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that right now. But we're
going to release an extended cut of the podcast later that has 6 hours of bonus footage. It's all about Lord of the Rings, and it's going to be talking about one scene involving some elves and some walking.
But like we have a mutual friend, and he
just one. We don't have
no. We have other mutual friends, but there's a mutual friend we have, and he's I don't want to say he's a big gamer, but he always asks me if I'm going to get the hottest game, because he probably is. And he's asked me if I'm getting Witcher, if I'm getting Shadow of Mordor, just anything that comes out. Are you getting this? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not, and part of it is money. I don't have the money to get it, and time. That's two big pieces. Like, I have to pick and choose my battles with what I play.
Now, the older I get, the more I realize it's like you can only really choose exactly what you want, and and the only reason I got the Shadow of Mordor because it was like, it cost me $10 ultimately.
Yeah, and that's a good buy. But like, there's certain something's going on.
It's our mutual friend who has just died of sadness because we called him out on his game buying habits. I don't know if you guys could hear it. We could definitely hear an ambulance racing somewhere here.
Yeah, it's coming by. It's outside the window. I apologize. It's
hot. As long as we don't hear knocking at my door saying, "Paul, I'm sorry, you've been dead for 10 minutes now." I'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know." It's like the neighbors can smell you. You've turned right and you're done.
But no, going back to the games and stuff, like, he always asks me, and I'm like, no. I'm like, I pick and choose because it's like, $60 a game or whatever. I want to get a certain amount of hours out of a game, but I also like want a little bit of replay value. Like with Last of Us, I knew I was buying an excellent story.
Yeah,
I bought that, but then like I got the nice surprise in the multiplayer. Usually when I purchase a game, I look at the multiplayer replay value if I'm gonna jump into that and play that. Because there's a lot of single player games I haven't bought or played. Like, I really wanted to play the new Tomb Raider that came out, but I didn't get it when it came out because I think it was just like 20 some hours of gameplay. But now that it's cheaper, I want to revisit that. That's going back to what we were talking about, like our bucket list. That's something that's on my bucket list.
That's true. I guess like with and Tomb Raider, I guess a good example of that too, where they're like, we're not going to do multiplayer because we want to focus on telling them like the story. And then I guess that maybe that's the answer to my question, is that not every game has to do this, but it feels like a lot of them are. And I was giving you the example of the game The Order, which is a PS4 exclusive done by Ready at Dawn.
That was another one that he asked me, are you getting The Order? I was like, no.
And I really, really want to play that game because everything about that, it's like, oh, it's kind of like in the late 1800s, and there's
heard it's like
this kind of weird, like sci-fi, steampunky type of thing.
I heard it's a lot of cutscenes, though.
That's going to be my other point, too. I was going to get to Metal Gear in a second. But like The Order seems interesting, but a lot of people knocked it because they're like, it's too linear. I'm like, well, I mean, I don't sit down in a movie theater and be like, man, I wish this movie just wandered in all these different directions. Give me the focused vision that you want. And I get that there's going to be some games where it is what you make it. Like I'm hopelessly addicted to World of Warcraft, and that game lets you Well, I would argue it only lets you do certain things, but you can decide what you want to do when you do it. But they also have instance segments where it's different content away from just wandering around and like killing boars. And you're right. That expectation for an MMO is different, but I don't necessarily want MMO expectation in a single player game that I'm not going to play with anybody else. And I don't know. It's just interesting to me, but it also feels like there's like the shift where if you're going to cast the widest net possible, you gotta accommodate that, and I don't know if that's definitely helping.
Well, I think with the way that games are made nowadays is a lot different because like when we grew up, everything was linear.
Yeah,
it was pretty much even Zelda.
Well, it had to be because of just constraints,
right?
Like, yeah,
but like even Zelda was like you go from Dungeon 1 to Dungeon 2 to Dungeon 3. You had to figure out how to get to each one, but it was pretty much a straight line.
Yeah.
Because you had to get a boomerang to do this, you had to get the bombs to do this.
It was the illusion of an environment because of the overworld map, and that by itself was just basically it was the illusion of freedom. But it really wasn't.
But like nowadays, like with video games becoming more like more art and more storytelling involved, you can have like producers make a linear game where it's there to tell a story.
Yeah.
Like Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect is not completely linear, but it is.
Yeah, especially the second one where it's basically a ticking clock. Like you better get all your stuff in order because the game's going to go on without you, whether you're ready or not.
But the first one was pretty much just about straight linear. You could go do some things off and on, but it was their purpose to tell a story with that, and which is where you get that. But then there's games like Grand Theft Auto, which is a massive sandbox. Yeah. You can still go into the story mode, which I've played Grand Theft Auto 5 and I haven't beaten it because I get so distracted. And everybody they'd be like, "Oh, you didn't get to the ending." I'm like, "No, I didn't." And I'm like, "But like I want to get back to it and eventually I will, but it's like you're driving around this massive city and it's like, "Ooh, piece of candy." Like, "No, hold on. You need to go rob the bank." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but somebody is like needing me to go take pictures with the paparazzi and drive them around on the back of a motorcycle to try and get some celebrity dirt." So, that's kind of like the nonlinear thing, but it just depends on what you like. Because I enjoy Grand Theft Auto a lot. I also enjoy Mass Effect a lot.
Well, yeah, but it's like I feel like Shadow of Mordor. I might as well call it Assassin's Creed Batman fantasy game because it's just like they're just they're just trying to jam it all together, and it's like, and that's okay. But it's like it just feels like now I don't know. It just if something's successful, you're going to get a bunch of copycats and
everything.
And I feel like now, and this is like after I finish this, like on my nerd bucket list is Red Dead Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, not Revolver.
It's an amazing game.
Don't play Red Dead Revolver. That game's not good. But Red Dead Redemption, like I started it and then I lost my save file and I have it and I want to play it, but now I feel like I'm going to put all this other time into this game that's going to probably be a while before I get back into that type of environment. However, for some reason though, my brain, I can accept that a Western's going to be more wide open. Mm-hmm. And I can accept I don't know, like there's some games where the notion of being able to wander and kind of forge your own destiny, I accept that more readily. And I don't know what this one is. This kind of rubs me the wrong way. Maybe because it's so limited in like you just kill orcs and collect things and kill orcs and collect things.
Well, do you think it's situational? Because like you said, Westerns, you expect that. Like Lord of the Rings, like I feel like being set in Lord of the Rings is cool and as fun as the mythology of Lord of the Rings is. Like most people's exposure to it is the movies. And the movies are linear. It's a story of people just, going on a quest, which, like, when you play a game in that world, you kind of expect to do the same thing instead of running around all of Middle Earth and finding new places to go visit.
Yeah, I guess maybe the reason why, and maybe this is partially self-inflicted, is that there's two major areas in this game. One is it's all along the big, like what they call the Black Gate in the Lord of the Rings, where like that's where Sauron is and like the big angry eye. And this is before his major return, so it's like there's still humans there, and it's like the outskirts of Gondor, right? So there's some human settlements. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't look. It's like there's orc camps, but it's not like this complete charred ruin like when you get like in the movies. And so then there's like a southern bit that you get to. It's a coastline, and I just got there, and it's a lot more vegetation, a lot more trees and stuff, and it's at least different. But I feel like maybe the big error there is that they should have given me like maybe the freedom to wander around and kill orcs when I want, but give me like 6 different unique like areas so I don't feel like I'm looking at the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
And then maybe that's it. And there's also like there's animals in there and like there's this big like Caragors. They're kind of like, I don't know, they're these big angry cat beasts or something. And there's like these huge giants that I don't even fight because they look at me and squish me. And it's like, give me, I don't know, like there's a dynamic world going on, but I feel like I can only do 3 things.
Okay.
And that's to me, it's like, that's where there's not fun. Like, give me, I don't know, like I feel like they polished what they have really, really well, but they just started putting in fetch quests and collectibles to kind of fill out everything, which Batman didn't feel like that. Like Batman had everything laid out, but there was so much to do and there'd be random crime happening that you always felt like you're always a hero that's being pulled in 6 different directions. And like, you actually feel like Batman that you can't save everybody. So what do you do?
Right.
You know? So anyway, Shadow of Mordor, it's okay. That's I guess my ultimate rating. It's an okay game.
Yeah. And like to me, Shadow of Mordor looked like it was how you described it. It looked fun. It looked like it was in the cool Lord of the Rings world, but it did look to me like it was a copycat of something else, and it looked like it would be something. I don't want to say as of a mobile game, because I know mobile games are pretty copycatty. Like they're all the same. You do the same thing in certain mobile games that you do in others.
Yeah, I feel like if they didn't actually have to be attached to Lord of the Rings license, that the guys that made this probably could have went in a really cool direction with it. And it's interesting enough, but I feel like they have to stay true to like, well, it has to be Middle Earth, and you got to have all this, and it's like,
yeah,
it feels like they had a really good idea for what this character could be, but they were never like they couldn't go full tilt with probably what they could have done with the tech or the storyline or something.
They probably either. What they probably did, this is just me guessing, they probably, when they developed it, they either wanted to bolster Lord of the Rings, or they had an idea for a game, or they had a skeleton for a game, and then the development company, Warner Brothers or whoever, was like, well, let's use Lord of the Rings, and that'll boost that. You know what I mean?
That's true, yeah.
So that's probably kind of what happened.
Well, it's kind of like with DICE taking over Battlefront for Star Wars.
Right,
It's like,
right.
they're like, you guys are really good at this, make a Star Wars Battlefront game now. Which I'm actually excited for Battlefront for the
I'm
first time
pretty
in a long
excited
time.
for Battlefront too. I played a lot of the first Battlefront, and I play a lot of first person shooters. I play a lot of Call of Duty. I actually haven't in a long time, but I used to. And I was never a big Battlefield fan. I did play Battlefield, but I always went back to Call of Duty because it was just more fast paced, and that's the way I like it. And a lot of people get a lot of flack for that, and it's like Coke and Pepsi, Battlefield and Call of Duty. It's like, oh, you like Pepsi? Pff, screw you. So, like. To me, like DICE doing that, I don't have any problem with, or Activision or Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, whoever picked it up, whatever. Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Battlefront was fun. I'm gonna play it regardless.
Yeah, and even that's another one of those ones where it's like it's open world, but it's on purpose because it's more like you're a unit in a bunch of like with a lot of other units fighting a battle, and that to me, I can accept that in my brain. I just don't know like what I'm struggling with because like not that I need to have games spoon fed to me or completely linear, but I feel like maybe a good example of what I'm talking about where I feel like it's on rails but doesn't feel like it's on rails is like the God of War series. Yeah. It's like it's very directed, but the whole world around it is so big in scope. And it's like you have your objectives and you get to them, but you can't like veer off the path too much, but you don't think about it. Yeah,
because the thing with God of War and not thinking about it is you're right, the scope. Like God of War can run linear like any other type of like action game, like whatever slasher, whatever you want to call it. But like you can go do things that you wouldn't think you would be doing in an environment. You're jumping up a Titan's arm, trying to like stab out his earlobe. Where normally when you're playing that type of a game, you're just thinking, oh, that's some background noise. That guy is just a cool graphic in the background. Yeah. You don't know you don't know you're going to be climbing up him later.
Yeah.
Or like this stuff in the background. I got to use Icarus's wings to fly from point to point to point. And there's some puzzle elements in it too, but you're right. Like there's certain things that just pop down in the game, and you're like, this I thought was just some weird part of the environment.
Yeah, so and maybe it's just because like maybe it's like if you fool me better, like maybe I enjoy it more. Maybe it's my expectation. But anyway, I thought that was something that was worthy of discussion. And if you guys would like to chime in, if you guys like open-ended games, or if you're just like Paul, just play Minecraft and you can make your own story with pixelated blocks and little zombies. I don't know,
or jump on Facebook and let Paul know how much you love Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah. So we got the Facebook page, we got the Twitter. It's an invading podcast. And then the Gmail is invadingpodcast at gmail.com. Just let us know, because we did get a little bit of interaction with the Netflix Wheel of Death. And,
we did.
Yeah,
we love it. We love interaction. So,
Yeah.
like, if you guys are listening, please jump on there, talk to us. I know some of you who do talk to us, but definitely if you don't know me and Paul, feel free to chime in. We love to hear from different listeners.
Clearly, we love talking about these things, so we would love to talk to you about it. Like I got called out yesterday. We were having a little barbecue behind our place, and my neighbor was wearing a Marvel shirt that had like 12 different Marvel people on it.
Mm-hmm.
And someone commented, he's like, yeah, this is a cool shirt. I found it. Like, forgot that I had it. He's like, I know who all these guys are except this one. And I was like, that's Black Panther. He's like, who? I'm like, Black Panther. He's like, well, who is he? I was like, well, his name's T'Challa, and he's from Wakanda. And I was just like, and I'll just stop talking right now. Like, and I was like, it's vibranium and blah, 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 blah. And then there was some really inappropriate jokes made about that. But, it's the holidays. I don't know. You sit around a fire, you drink, and you make vibranium jokes.
Sometimes like the nerd bomb goes off, and you're just like, I know you feel. I'll never forget one time at work. One of the guys I work with, he was a good friend of mine, but he knew I was a big Star Wars fan, and I don't know the conversation he was having with somebody else, but he's like, hey Joe, what's TIE stand for? And like a little kid. Like somebody asking a little kid for information. I was just like, "Oh, it's twin ion engines," and everybody started laughing. I was like, "I hate my life."
Yeah, I have some World of Warcraft figures at my desk at work, and I get asked questions, and it's like baiting me, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that. Like, that's a dragon. That guy controls the dragon sometimes, and they're both from Frostland. I just deal with it. It's fine. It's a nice dragon. It's angry. It used to yell at me all the time when I'd log into the game.
All you need to know is Frostmourne hungers, and you need to move along.
Yes. So, did we want to move on to the last bit that we were talking about with the video
yeah,
games?
Let's do that, because
there's something else we're going to talk about later that, again, and it's like I think this is an interesting discussion for another day. We're going to possibly get into the era of microtransactions and gaming. So, and if you guys have thoughts on that, please share it, because we'd love to have that conversation started.
Beforehand, I mean, that's a topic segment that we're going to talk about in the future, about the whole pay-to-play, pay-to-win thing in gaming now, and it's a big thing that's changing the way that we play games.
So yeah, chime in with that, and so we're going to go and have a little bit more fun, and so basically, I wanted to mention that Kung Fury is actually coming out here Friday, and that was that Kickstarted movie that it's ridiculous premise.
The trailer's up on our Facebook page. Check it out. Search it out for yourself, Kung Fury. I don't know a good way to describe it.
Well, will this help?
All of our German fans went crazy when you played that.
Like there's a video that David Hasselhoff sang the theme song to Kung Fury, which that I can't say a better sentence ever in my life right there. It's basically a mashup of like 80s ridiculous action. What I like about the trailer though is that, as absurd as it is, all the people in it are acting straight face, because they know that sells it a lot better.
Yeah.
And you have a guy...
Kung Fury is just dead straight. Like
a guy is going after Hitler because he's the #1 criminal, and then he has to go back in time and ends up in Viking time. And that doesn't... I don't even know what's going on with half of it, but it looks amazing.
It's definitely like the trailer... I mean, watch a trailer, but the plot basically centers around a super cop. This is very like 80s action movie type style. A super cop that is just like busted as much crime as possible, who decides to go after Hitler, and the only way he can go after Hitler is if he goes back in time. So he tries to go back in time, and time gets hacked too much in the trailer.
And
he gets hacked time back to like dinosaur
Viking time.
I love how like the dinosaurs and the Vikings are in the same place.
Yeah, it's like it's like falling into like the Creation Museum or something. Like, oh well, there was Vikings and dinosaurs.
Yeah, they lived, they coexisted. Yeah, but and then so eventually he does fight Hitler, because it shows in the trailer. But it looks hilarious,
and it looks like it's going to be the greatest movie ever made. Like, it looks like someone that watched Miami Connection was like, you know what, we can do this better, and I can't wait. And actually, the Cleveland Bottle House, which is on the east side of town, near Cleveland, I think it's in Cleveland Heights, they're actually having a premiere party Friday at like 10 o'clock. I think I might go.
I'm going to try to go because I like that place. I used to go up there, or I do still kind of. I just go up there for trivia every once in a while. They do trivia on Monday. I love bar trivia. I think it's right down the street from Kane Park. If you guys know where that is, yeah. But it's a great. It's a brewery. It's also a meadery. If you guys have never had mead, please try mead.
Oh, I thought you said meadery, as in like they make meat, like they like. It's like I thought that was like your butcher shop. It's a meadery. It's a hot dogatorium.
No, like an alcoholic beverage mead, fermented honey. It's one of Cleveland's only or few. I think it might be the only meadery in Cleveland.
And I also heard that if you take any growler in there, they'll fill it. Like it doesn't matter where the growler's from.
They are a brewery, so they have their own brew. They also have an excellent selection of whiskey, which Paul can attest. I am a huge Scotch whiskey guy. They do have a good selection of whiskey if you like whiskey.
That's how he's tolerated me for quite a long time. Is just kick it back and just listen to me babble.
I had like 5 before I came over.
Yeah. So in honor of like Kung Fury, it being like ridiculous, like just complete, just the most amazing. Like I'd put Kung Fury up there with like Black Dynamite as like this movie exists.
Yes,
go see it.
You know what? Black Dynamite is probably a good example as to like what to expect from Kung Fury.
And I can't wait. So we decided that since we've been talking about video games, or I've been grouchy about video games, that it'd be fun to maybe like, you know, with every movie now, it seems like is based off of another property. And there has been video game movies. I mean, I know Assassin's Creed is coming. I know Warcraft's coming next summer, which I'm actually really excited for. And what else? Is there anything else coming that I don't remember off the top of my head?
Video game wise, Assassin's Creed's probably the biggest one. Isn't Michael Fassbender going to be in that?
Yes, and I will. If they're like, by the way, he's just wearing the Assassin's Creed outfit and hunting Nazis. Which I know that's not actually going to happen, but I would watch that movie. Like it'd be amazing.
Yeah, if they took Fassbender's Magneto and just did a whole movie about hunting Nazis,
it's like listen to your assassin with mind magnetic powers.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's any other. I'm just trying to think if there's any other like big video game
movies
coming. Well, there's that Pixels movie coming, which I don't have no interest in that.
I would not count that as, but that piqued my interest, and then I saw Kevin James and Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
but Tyrion's in it though. Tyrion Lannister's in it.
I know.
And it's like I don't hate Peter Dinklage, so I just whatever.
Really?
So
did you play Destiny?
Yeah. No, I feel like they didn't give him enough to work with. And it was just like
they didn't because they had him redo lines, and it was just like That's a discussion for another day about Bungie.
Aside, do you feel like he was being typecast as being the small helpful guy, the small helpful Woody guy in Destiny? Because like he's Peter Dinklage, he's a small helpful guy, and it's like, and he's being a small helpful guy in Destiny. Do you feel like it's like, damn it, like I can't get out of this mold? This tiny mold.
I don't think they typecasted him into playing a ghost.
Okay. Anyway.
All right.
So we were thinking like, 8-bit. Is there any wonderful 8-bit games out there? Because generally like 8-bit or even early Atari, you look at the cover art and it looks amazing. And then the game itself didn't quite deliver, but would it be a badass movie is really the question.
Even if it did deliver.
Yeah, that's true.
I think there are a lot of video game concepts that probably will never get made into movies. I mean, they made a Battleship movie, for God's sake.
That's true.
And
they're making a Monopoly movie. Ridley Scott's producing it.
No.
Yeah, it's true. Look it up. Yeah.
Does a thimble bust out of anyone's chest? Yeah. I'd go see that.
It's just there's race cars, like it goes over to like Baltic and Mediterranean, just runs over the poor people and drives away.
There's like a gritty jail scene, like Oz.
Like someone rolls dice 3 times, and then like they jump off the Red Hotel, like, and it's
goes straight to jail, and then the theme song to Oz plays.
Yeah, and like the one person's like, I'm on free parking, I get all the money. It's like that's not this kind of game, Like, but there's really a Monopoly movie coming.
You know what? I watched Battleship and like I see what they did there. They just threw some money at something and they made a Hollywood Transformers-esque movie. But
Peter Berg said he had a lot of fun doing it. He really got excited about it.
It looked like a fun movie, and the funny part about it, did you watch it?
No.
They basically play the game in the movie, and I was tickled.
Oh.
Like there was like the aliens they set off. I mean, you can fire up spoiler. Battleship's been out long enough, but you know how.
Let me bust because people need to hear this.
Okay.
Spoiler alert!
All right, so if you have never played the game Battleship or seen the movie, pause it. So, because there might be somebody out there who's never played Battleship.
Spoiler alert: B7.
So, like, the aliens let off they have some type of, like, radar inhibiting alien ability, blah, 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 blah. So the battleships are trying to find these aliens dead in the water. Like, they don't know where they're
blind.
They're blind.
Yeah, okay.
So what they do is these aliens are so massive when they move through the ocean, they hit these buoys.
Okay. Oh.
So the buoys would get hit, and then they would fire a missile off near the buoy to try and hit it.
Oh my goodness.
So it was, and literally, like, I'm watching it, and after like the second or third one, I'm like, those buoys are just like B2, B3. You know, it's like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's clever. They worked the game. I'll give them credit. They worked the game into the movie, but it was basically Transformers.
I kind of want to see an Operation movie now, where it's like, but I want it like a horror movie where
Operation
it's like,
would be like a Saw.
It's like someone's like just really close. It's just like, I gotta get a rubber band out of this guy. I gotta get it out of here. Just go, and like
touch the sides.
The nose explodes and it's just like, it would be. That's the movie I want to see. Is
like
Operation.
They're going for the breadbasket, and that violin's just dun 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 dun.
Yes, that would be great. It's like, you have 60 seconds to remove the water on the knee. You know.
All right, so
that was some good suggestions. Those weren't video games,
but those weren't video games. But that's basically what we're going with here. So, video game wise, NES games, we're trying to stick 8-bit or 16-bit, and like, if you like this segment, you know, please chime in. Like, be like, hey, I would love it if they did a Boy and His Blob movie.
Oh my goodness, dude, that would be great. Actually, get J.J. Abrams to do it, because since he basically did Super 8, which is like his like darker ET, have him do a Boy and His Blob movie. That's actually a really good idea.
Yep, Boy and His Blob.
That would be awesome.
I love that game, and I would get so mad when I was out of certain jelly beans. I'm like, this jelly bean does this.
It's like, oh, well, he could turn into an umbrella again.
For any of you guys who have not played a Boy and His Blob, because it's not like Super Mario Brothers 3 or Tetris. But it basically was like an adventure little game where this kid had a pet blob that was an alien, and
as opposed to a domesticated blob.
Yeah, there are undomesticated blobs. There was a movie that's basically an amoeboid that eats an entire village. But the pet blob, if somebody would have gave the blob a jelly bean, it probably would have been cool.
It was like, oh, I won't eat every. Oh, well,
all those people in the movie theater would still be alive.
Yeah.
In the movie, it kills people in the movie theater. Anyway, so the blob follows you around, and you have jelly beans, and you have to give the blob jelly beans. And when you give him a jelly bean, he turns into something. Turns into a ladder. He'll turn into an umbrella. He'll turn into like different things that you need to progress through the game. It's kind of cool.
Like a rocket ship to take him to his own blob world or something. Right?
Yeah, I think you do end up going to like the blob world, but it's Pitfall-esque in terms of like side scrolling and like dangers. Like, I'm sure there's like holes that you got to get over. And then you give the blob a jelly bean, and he turns into like a plank board that you can walk across and stuff like that.
So he was basically Meatwad before Meatwad.
Yes, okay. That's true. It's like if you gave Meatwad jelly beans,
he would just do it. He'd be like, "I'm going to turn into an igloo or a hot dog, hot dog or igloo. That's all you get."
And then didn't he turn into Abraham Lincoln bust? I think he did an Abraham Lincoln bust.
So that's actually a really good call as a Boy and His Blob. I didn't even think about that. It's like I was thinking of like silly things like Marble Madness, the movie. Like, I don't even know what you would do with that. It would just
I feel like it would
be people getting run over by large marbles. Is what I think it would be.
Or it would be like a weird, like Tron-esque rollerball type future world where you're in those things they had in American Gladiators, the spheres.
It's like Death Ball from Futurama.
Yeah, you would get released in your marble, and then you have to trek through the zone and not get eaten by snakes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or whatever. But yeah, Boy and His Blob would be cool.
Oh my goodness, yeah. What was the Shadowgate? The original Shadowgate for Nintendo. That
I didn't play the original.
It was like a point and click adventure, but for Nintendo. And like every time you choose something, you'd just be the wrong decision and you'd die immediately. Like, it was just
that sounds like it was Dragon's Lair,
kind of, but it was just text based. So it's like you could take forever to make up your mind, but you'd still die. Yeah. So I'm coming with some lame games. Man.
Contra. We talked about Contra earlier.
Talk about Contra.
Like, I think if they did Contra would be a cool, like, cloning facility game, or not a game, cloning facility movie where they clone mercenaries to just constantly go out, you know.
But they only have enough material for 30 mans.
Yeah.
And that would be, like I was telling Joe, it'd be a 30-minute movie, and they'd just be constantly dying all the time. And then Red Guy would die so many times, he'd just start taking Blue Guy's lives, and Blue Guy'd realize, wait, I don't have 30. Now I have 15 because Red Guy's a dick.
See, but that's the type of thing that they could tie into the movies that would be great Easter eggs, like Battleship. Like there's a cloning facility and they just keep spitting out mercs, and then someone attacks the cloning facility. They can't clone anymore, but 30 guys on reserve.
Yeah, just in case.
So then the one guy, kind of like Universal Soldier. Okay, we could do a totally Universal Soldier thing. You could just do Red Guy and Blue Guy. Like, blue guy dies more than red guy. So then he starts dipping into red guy's lives.
Yes.
That would be
and
hilarious.
then all he does is change the pants color. It's like, no, that's me. I'm good. I'm good. It's like, I got.
And then the twist at the end of the movie is he takes his, like, he does like one of those like track pants rip off things, and it's like different color pants.
There you
You're
go.
like,
That would
it was
be
blue pants all along.
that'd be a great movie. You talked about River City Ransom.
Oh, that's such a good game. Like that, I don't know. It's funny. River City Ransom is one of those games that reminds me of Darkhawk, only because like when you meet somebody that loves River City Ransom, it is just like kind of obscure, and you're just like high five, yeah.
Yeah, like I was a couple years ago. We bought a 3DS. Because I was like, oh, we'll use this all the time, and I played Zelda, and I didn't touch it again. But they have the little virtual marketplace, and I bought River City Ransom, and I played it for about 10 minutes, and I died all the time. I'm like, I guess I'm just bad at this game now. But I had to go out and buy River City Ransom again for the DS, and it's just I loved that game at the time because it was again one of those ones where there was the illusion of freedom, where you had to work through all the cities, and it basically you're just a high school kid trying to get your girlfriend, and no one in the city seems to mind that there's a bunch of high school kids just fighting each other.
Yeah, beating the crap out of
with
each
trash
other.
can sticks. My favorite is the bicycle chain.
The bicycle chain is my favorite too,
Yes.
because and I love when you would hit people, like the face that they made.
And all the poor translations into English because it was all in Japanese originally, and all the exclamations were like "barf" and "ouch," and
Yeah.
it was like just like they were never like those don't seem as painful as the face they're making.
No.
So I think that's just basically that's like Japanese Double Dragon, but Double Dragon is Japanese too. So
Yeah. Well, I think like River City Ransom was a lot more Double Dragon-esque, and I played they did a Scott Pilgrim versus the World game.
Yes. I
it was-
saw that. I didn't watch it. I
Well,
mean, I didn't play it, but I know
it's
what you're
basically
talking about.
River City Ransom.
Yes, I remember seeing that because like people drop coins and everything. Yeah.
You got to go into the shops and stuff.
So Oregon Trail the movie. I know that's not exactly the same game, but I'd watch Oregon Trail the movie.
I don't know if I'd watch Oregon Trail. the
Just
movie.
because you'd have people like judging if they want to actually go across the river and float the wagon. There'd be like a 6-minute discussion about it.
I think
And
it would
then-
be interesting if you made like several different versions of the movie, and then like depending on like when you go see it, it's different.
maybe it'd be better as a reality show.
I think as a reality, Oregon Trail, the reality show would be awesome. You're
It's
right.
like for 3 episodes, Paul's wandered off. You don't know
Yeah.
where he's at, and there's like this camera confessionals where you're out in the woods, just scared, and
Yeah.
they give you like a BB gun to go hunt bear. Like I think that would. There you go. That's a way better idea than a movie.
Yep. Oregon Trail reality show.
Put the Kardashians on it, then just watch them just fend for
Drown
themselves.
in the river.
Yeah, I'm sure
Oh.
they'd float across with their artificial body parts. But yeah, so any like I don't know, ice climbers. That's a Nintendo game that you don't really know their backstory. Balloon Fight could be. You know, see, I don't know what story it would be other than
Ghosts and Goblins.
that'd be the hardest movie to watch ever.
Ghosts and why?
Because it's just the guy would be getting killed every 3 seconds, and
Yeah.
the movie would start over again.
I think it would
You
be
don't even
fun
know.
to watch all the production value of his armors change. Because he had like 3 different armors, I think, but like every time he got powered up, it was different.
Oh well, yeah.
I never beat Ghosts and Goblins. That was a tough game.
I don't think anybody ever has.
that was a Capcom game, too.
I think that's a lie. I think nobody's actually ever finished it. I think that they released
I would like to
screens
see
later.
Nick Offerman play Arthur, though.
Yes. That would be amazing. I would love that. And then just to have him every so often go down to his tidy whities and into a skeleton.
He's in the Heart Boxers running around like, oh, man.
All right. So, please, if anybody has any way better ideas than I that just threw out there, because clearly I played some really terrible games growing up, then I have no idea would be good movies. Please, go to the Facebook page, hit us up on the Twitter and in the Gmail. Tin cans with string, passenger
Or if
pigeon.
you're good at smoke signals.
Yes, if you're that, you can slide notes under my door at my apartment. That's fine too. I won't tell you where I live, so if you figure it out, that's really creepy.
Yeah,
But-
if you figure out where Paul lives and you don't know Paul and you get a note under his door, we'll get the shout out there, and we'll definitely do whatever segment you want.
It's like I'll just open it up and be like, oh, 7th guest. Well, that's just creepy and odd that they'd even mention that. Like Clock Tower. What I don't know what they're saying here. I don't know. We'll talk about that. Or Slender Man. They just slide Slender Man the arrival, like the actual name, and I'd be like, that's it. I'm moving. I'm burning this house down.
Mary would be stuck at it. Be like, I'd be like, just time to go. Slender
Yeah, we
Man
gotta
showed
go.
up.
So, all right, I think that's going to do it for us this time. But yeah, like I said, hit us up on those things. I'm sure we'll have some more fun next week. I don't know exactly what we're going to be focusing on, but I'm sure it'll be probably something involving comics again. That's probably what's going to happen.
Comics and movies, and there's a lot of summer movies. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
there
we'll probably talk about some of the summer
Jurassic
movies.
World's coming soon, right?
Yeah,
Is it when's that opening? Is it like
the 12th, I think?
oh,
or the
then
6th?
like we're getting like that's yeah. I mean, we're getting close to that. So yeah, we'll probably end up talking about dinosaurs a lot next week. So if you guys have favorite dinosaurs or want to see dinosaurs fight, Primal Rage, that's a movie.
There we go.
Yeah,
that would be perfect.
But yeah, hit us up. Anyway, have a good week and don't sweat your ass off like I'm doing right now.